Welcome to Pretty Truth. The truth isn't always pretty, but it's always the truth. Um, when the people in my life that have known me for a very long time make fun of me about being a conspiracy theorist, they always remind me, wow, you didn't used to be like that. and that's true. I have always been a person, even as a little kid, where I I just love life and I love people and I see the best in the world and I see the best in people. Um, I think that people are inherently good. Of course, as the years roll on, I'm starting to think maybe I'm wrong about that. No, but for the most part, most people are good. The tendency is to be good. It actually takes more work to be bad and to fuck people over, actually, and not get caught or not have them hate you and retaliate or whatever. So it's so easy to be nice. Well, okay, not so easy. Me and my tangents. I I think when I look back at when I started all of my research, um, I think that what it was about 6 years ago when I noticed all of the chemtrails. Okay, this video isn't about chemtrails, but I'm gonna make another video about it, so wait for it. And you can say what you think about chemtrails and believe that they're actually contrails, the condensation from airplanes, and of course all of the you know like runoff of their fuel and I'm sure you've heard about oh god, what is it called? I want to say sky turd. I'm not sure about that, but sometimes by accident, a plane's like filtering system for their toilets, and you know they have that blue stuff. Sometimes it will come out of the plane, and because such high altitude, it, like, I guess as it comes out in like a solid mass, it turns like icy and then it falls to earth, and people will find these things on the ground, or sometimes it'll hit like a building or a car, and it is a big disgusting turd burger of airplane blue juice. Toilet juice. Oh my god. Yeah. So yes, planes do have, I mean, that's an occasional, accident, but I mean, yes. I mean, just even in your car, unless you have an electric car, but of course, you have to charge your electric car from the electoral grid that runs on fossil fuels. But okay, I won't go into that either. So, I guess there's really no way to leave an absolute zero carbon footprint while we're here as human beings. Unless we just get rid of everything that we have in our modern world and live in the dirt, I guess. No, then still there'd be still human excrement, which is not something you want to be fertilizing with. You can argue about that, whatever. But yeah, humans are nasty, and we are we're a virus. Oh, that's so mean. I'm kidding. I love humanity and I love being human. Okay, so back to planes. You cannot have a fuel running engine that is not going to produce some sort of runoff. So, yes, I understand that the contrails, the condensation trails that we've seen, our whole lives. I'm sure our grandparents saw them, in the sky, the little white line, you can go up to, with your fingers, you go, oh, it's that long. But it's like a mile. I get it. Yes, they are chemicals coming from the exhaust of the plane mixing with the atmosphere and creating like a frozen, nasty gel of, toxins. I get it. Okay. But I've always been a sky watcher. I've always been fascinated with flying. I wish I could actually fly myself like I had wings. um, and flying in airplanes, I love it. It's so much fun. I really enjoy it. I love hovering above the planet, It's fun. It's like a freedom thing. I've loved planes ever since I was a little kid. So as a child, I would, lay in the backyard and stare up at the sky, and look at planes, during the day, look at the clouds. Um, Dusk is my favorite time of day when the light, from the sun and the darkness kind of, mesh together, and it's so beautiful. And then, of course, at night, watching the night sky. And, I've always been fascinated with it. So it's not something that I walked out of the house one time 6 years ago and went, oh, what's that? Like, come on, I've been watching the sky my whole life, been in the sky quite a few times. Um, those X's and cross signs, or whatever you want to call it, miles and miles and miles, that last all freaking day and even into the night. If it's light enough at night or clear sky, or well, would be a clear sky, you can still see them hovering. They're just like a big cloudy, smoky mess of chemicals. And I'm telling you, that is not just condensation trails from regular airplanes. There's no way. If you watch a plane, now it takes a while. And once again, I used to do this more as a kid because I had the time for it, to lay on my back in the backyard, in the middle of the day in the summer, and watch a plane go by, and literally from, east to west, as far as I could see the sky on both ways and see the plane. And they would make their little trail. And then the farther they got away from their trail, the more it would dissipate and disappear. And that was always fascinating too. So within 30 minutes or less of watching, probably less, of watching a plane fly, a normal plane fly across the sky, leaving their contrail and it dissipating while you can still see the plane in the sky. Not the plane left freaking 28 hours ago and it's still there. I mean, come on. And it's a little tiny line, not absolute coverage. And how anyone who has ever noticed that we live on the earth and we have an atmosphere and a stratosphere, and who can actually look up in the sky, unless maybe that's the thing. Maybe everybody's so focused on, their media device that they don't look up. And I'm not saying that that's a conspiracy theory, that that's what they did. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that that just is how people are. I mean, people don't even freaking look up while they're driving a freaking vehicle, So, walking around outside, I guess they don't look up. But I do. And I'm telling you that the smoky white clouds up in the sky are not clouds. That's another argument that people get into with me about that kind of shit. And I'm like, how in the fuck do your eyes not work where you can't tell that chemtrails, not contrails, chemtrails have just exploded all over the sky and are there for hours and hours and maybe even into the next day. And normal clouds are, they're puffy and they have a lot of dimension to them, where smoke, it it dissipates. So the chemtrails are dissipating, but so the crisscross X lines that they've made with them, as they separate, then instead of it being lines anymore, now it's full coverage. And you can see what you want about that. I initially thought that what they were doing, which duh, makes sense, that they were just trying to poison the air. But then when I started thinking about it, about that full coverage kind of thing, as it dissipates and spreads into a mass, and then of course, if you have any kind of, precipitation, I never say that word, sorry, precipitation or actual rainfall, now you're going to push all those chemicals down onto the earth. So that's going to get into our water, get into our soil. What the fuck is all this shit? And of course, everybody says it's metals. Now, you can't grow plants in metals. So is this to poison us directly with breathing or getting into our skin? Your skin's the largest organ and it absorbs things. So, are we absorbing it with our lungs and our skin to poison us? Is that the goal? Or is it that that's just a nice little extra for the ones in control of us? And that the actual idea was to poison the earth, because if our water and soil is poisoned, hello. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, come on. So, anyway, so I have spent years now, initially telling people, in my inner circle, what the fuck is the sky doing? That's weird. Like, I didn't even know. I didn't know anything. And then I started, I was like, what the fuck? And then I kind of, researched it on my own. And then all of a sudden, I guess because it started being a worldwide issue where everybody was reporting stuff. So, the more and more and more people go, like I do, what the fuck's up with this guy? Then more people started, telling, well, hey, it's doing that over in Kansas. Well, hey, it's doing it in fucking, Tokyo. It's, whatever. And here's a little interesting thing. Now, of course, I don't know about right now because now chemtrails are just all over the place. I mean, we're just fucking covered in this shit. I mean, I probably have chemtrails in my apartment. My ceiling, I probably have chemtrails in it, But a few years ago, one of the things that I read was that people were saying that over the ocean, there weren't chemtrails. Now, I know the ocean, the air, because of water, I know the ocean air does some weird shit that, maybe it just blows it away real quick and people don't notice it or whatever, but that's kind of weird. So when you think about it, I mean, of course there's, a bajillion people, on the ocean and ships and boats and, whatever also, but out deep in open water, other than cruise ships, but, and the military, it's not like you have, an entire population living in the ocean, humans, that is, on a daily basis. So, maybe they're, maybe our controllers are cheap and they don't want to spend the money on all the poison. So they're like, fuck the sea. We'll just do the land. Anyway, so when I first started noticing the sky, people would be like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Then the more it happened, the more I was like, what the fuck? Like, we got to figure this out. And they were like, ugh, like, who cares? And back then I was not a conspiracy theorist. Once again, I just do. Life is wonderful. Just go out and live my life and enjoy myself and people. And, I didn't really think much of anything. The only time that I would get a little weirded out is when we would be in war. Then I would kind of watch the news and kind of get into it and be like, oh shit, what the fuck's going on? But other than that, if it wasn't personally, and I know it's narcissistic, but when it wasn't personally affecting me, I was like, it wasn't that I didn't care, but it was just that it wasn't on my own personal radar. I was just like, I don't know. I mean, like, I know, and I don't know what I'm going to do about it if I did know. So, But then the more and more and more about the chemtrails, and then here's what started happening. My close inner circle was just like, oh, fucking stop talking about this, I don't know. And then of course, days would go by where there'd be no chemtrails, so I did start kind of sounding kind of crazy, and of course, we do have clouds, and the chemtrails are white, so I mean, I get why people were kind of like, shut up. Then when I started like going online and researching more, getting into arguments, keyboard warfare, with strangers, on these websites who don't believe in the chemtrails, and then they were like vehemently angry, like about there's no such thing, and then I was like, whoa, like people are like mad about trying to figure this out. It was weird. It struck me as weird. I still wasn't a conspiracy theorist exactly, but I started, like, I would say that was the thing that opened my eyes to, whoa, some shit's going down behind the scenes that we're not privy to and not allowed to be privy to. And that's fucking scary as fucking fuckity fuck. Okay. And anybody who thinks that I'm crazy for thinking that that's terrible, I would have to say that you're the one who's crazy. So that kind of got me on, the inner workings of people around the world speaking about weird shit. And then of course, it's weird how it happened. It wasn't just like we were like, oh, chemtrails, okay, we don't talk about anything else, It started becoming like, oh, hey, there's some other shit, like 9/11, and then the whole JFK thing started coming back up because people back then did kind of think, because he was a very, very loved president, and people were really weirded out about that whole thing. And I mean, the government shut that conspiracy talk down real quick, but still back then people were like, the fuck just happened? And literally on TV, like, we watched a murder of our beloved president. Like, it's weird, right? It's weird. So that kind of got back into people's brains, people who weren't alive during that time and just heard, about their parents talking about it or whatever. And then they started thinking, well, that's weird. And then just, blah, 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 blah. I mean, there's 1,000 conspiracy theories at this point, and probably 1,000 more tomorrow as our controllers keep fucking with us. Okay. So back to my inner circle of friends who aren't conspiracy theorists, although I have a lot of friends who are, asking me, like, you didn't used to be like this. What the fuck, So my answer has been, oh, it was the chemtrails. Like, that was literally like above my head. All I have to do is look up, open my eyes, and be like, oh, what the fuck is that? Which I can't understand why anybody else would disagree with that. That's weird to me, but whatever. So I always thought that was what kind of got me on this quest to find the truth of what is going on, who's doing it, who's behind it, and what we can do to stop it. Or, slow it down a little bit. This fucking runaway train of our lives being fucked with on a minute-to-minute basis. But then it occurred to me a couple days ago that I actually was a baby conspiracy theorist a couple years before that. And here's what happened. I was engaged to this guy who, he's a writer, musician, actor, and he was, we didn't get married. He's awesome, but, yeah, we didn't, that didn't work out. Still friends though. He was writing a script about aliens. And now it wasn't any kind of conspiracy theory. In fact, he's not a conspiracy theorist, which is probably why it didn't work out with us. He thought I was too crazy, and I thought he was too fucking lazy to find the truth. Oh, that's so mean. He's a good guy. Anyway, so they were just gonna write this like fun script. I mean, it was scary. It's supposed to be like a horror, sci-fi, alien kind of movie. And he hooked up with this guy, and oh my god, I can't remember that guy's name. I want to say Josh or something like that. And this guy was really into aliens. And at the time, my fiance didn't really realize that this guy was not just into aliens like for fun, but he was like really into them, like really. And yeah, it kind of tripped boyfriend out about it, but they ended up writing a script, and it didn't really go in. I think they sold it, but whatever, it doesn't matter. But anyway, but in the research of making things as authentic as possible, this guy had given my boyfriend this book, and it was about aliens and alien technology and things like that. And my boyfriend was like, "You ready with this book?" Like after they were done with their project, after they turned in the script and sold it, whatever. He was like, "Oh, he left this book, and I can't get a hold of it," or I don't know what happened. Not that he couldn't get a hold of him, but like he could never, like somehow the guy just didn't care to get the book back. Whatever, it doesn't matter. So this book, and I can't remember the name. My bad for not doing more research, but it was by David Icke. I don't know who the fuck David Icke was. I'm like, I don't know. What? I thought it was Icky. Oh, that's what I mean his name. So David Icke, there was this book, and it had some conspiracy theories in it too about some other stuff. But at the time, so I would say, okay, so my chemtrail conspiracy theory train that I hopped on, somewhat reluctantly here. No, I'm glad I did. The truth isn't always pretty, but it's always the truth. Remember that. So I'd rather know. I'd rather be in the know about everything and deal with it than just, because you're going to end up finding out anyway. That's the thing. That's the thing about lies and dishonesty and fantasy land is you're going to get a wake up call eventually, so might as well deal with it when you can. So about 6 years ago, maybe 7, got me on the conspiracy theory train. But this book that my boyfriend, fiance, whatever, ex-fiance, gave to me, that was actually probably maybe 10 years ago, actually. Maybe like 10 years ago. So I didn't know anything about conspiracy theories. I mean, now, obviously I've heard about JFK that everybody's like, oh, that shit don't add up. It's kind of like, what? So, I mean, I'm not a freaking idiot, but I mean, whatever. I didn't care. So, there was some, I mean, I don't think JFK story was in this book, but anyway, just some stuff. So, one of David Icke's little besties is this guy named Credo Mutwa. And he, well, I was going to say is, but he passed away. God rest his soul. He was just adorable. Just absolutely adorable. So Credo Mutwa, you have to look him up. He is a Zulu. Now, I don't know anything about the Zulu nation. I don't know anything about tribes. I don't know anything about anything regarding that. So I don't know, except for what I've seen in movies. So I don't know if being Zulu, if and a male, and of course maybe females too, but I don't know if it automatically makes you a Zulu warrior. I don't know if how that is, you know, way back in tribal days, you know, all men were a warrior of whatever tribe you were in, because otherwise you and the tribe wouldn't survive. So I don't know if that is like a mandatory requirement, and I don't know if Credo was a Zulu warrior or not, but he is Zulu, was Zulu. And he, okay, and the other thing about Zulus is apparently in the tribal societies, you know, because there's still many tribes in Africa. I mean, obviously in other parts of the world too, but uh, Zulu was like the upper echelon of tribes. Like they were the shit. Now, they were also fuck you up. That's why you've heard of Zulu warriors. And that's why I'm wondering if he was required to also technically be one too. Um, but yeah, they were, and in, I mean, they still exist, I would imagine, a fucking motherfucking badass tribe. And they were extremely social, have a social hierarchy, you know, like they were just the shit, you know, with tribes. So I say all that because Credo, how he became friends with David Icke, is he has been telling stories to anyone who would listen his whole life. I think he was either a preteen or a teenager when he would frequently be abducted by aliens. Now, before you turn me off, I have more to say. And apparently, he wasn't the only one. Apparently, aliens really like to abduct Zulus. And of course, he talked in depth about, you know, the medical experiments and the pain and the horror. You know, it wasn't good alien stories. And if you ever notice, most people, well, maybe all people who get abducted by aliens, they don't come back. Be like, wow, I had a great vacation with, you know, the aliens from Sector 3. I mean, you know, they're always like, holy fuck, you know, what just happened to me, you know? It's always bad. So yeah, he and other members of his tribe on a regular basis got abducted by aliens. Now, for some reason, he got abducted a little bit more than some of the other ones. So, you know, I don't know. But David Icke had written all this book mostly about all of his stories. And I'll tell you what I believe about aliens. And now, of course, this is just what I believe. I cannot prove it. In fact, anything I tell you, I really can't honestly, 100%, 1000% prove it. But what I believe, because of my religious beliefs, I don't believe that aliens, at least the ones who abduct people, and millions of, well, okay, maybe not millions, but thousands of people for years worldwide have reported incidences, and they almost always tell the same story. So there's something to that. So I do believe that human beings are being abducted. I don't, now you could also, okay, well, hold on. Oh my gosh, my mind just explodes with all these things I have to say. I believe that the aliens that are abducting people and doing experiments and torturing and, you know, whatever they do to people, I don't believe that those are biological entities from another planet who came here by extreme advanced technology to fuck with us. They don't believe that. But here are the points that is happening. Worldwide, for decades, thousands of people have told the same story about alien abductions. The light, the memory loss, the creatures, the pain, the horror, the torture, getting dropped off. And then there's a lot of people who've said like weird shit about all of a sudden they're pregnant and they don't, like, weird shit, and weird, obviously, objects surgically implanted into them, organs removed out of them, weird scars, like surgery, like weird shit. They all tell the same story. So I believe it is happening. It's just trying to figure out who's doing it. So I believe on a spiritual level that those beings, those entities, are demons. Now, if they're doing, implanting things and surgically, whatever, and people seeing spaceships and stuff like that, I mean, that kind of botches that theory. But then the other thing is you have to remember demons are ex-angels, and angels have a lot of power, more power than human beings do, just like we have more power than a buffalo or a spider. It's not that we're supernatural creatures, it's just that we possess a little bit extra than a spider. Although spiders might think that we're supernatural. We're their gods. We're their spider gods. I love spiders. So demons, ex-angels, have abilities that we don't have, and then they also have the ability to fuck with our heads, because that's what Satan does. Satan, he fucks with our heads, and he gets us to fuck ourselves over and each other over. Satan doesn't come up to you and stab you with a knife, but he can get you to stab someone else with a knife. You know what I mean? Okay. So that's what I believe. So, if people are having scars and weird implants or pregnant or, whatever, that could just be a mind fuck, whatever. I believe that the entities, and they all seem to look alike. So wouldn't it stand to reason that if aliens of advanced civilizations, even human beings, we don't even all look alike. We have different races on this planet, or different races, ethnicities, our age, a baby is not going to look like an 80-year-old, even if it's the same person. Like, we look different. So if it was aliens from another planet or planets, wouldn't people report different looks? But they also look the same. Like, they all seem to be related biologically, if that's what you want to call it. So a race of angels, fallen angels, or Nephilim, or demons, whatever you want to say, they are technically related. Okay, now let me say something about that. I told you in my last video that to live on planet Earth, you have to be a biological entity. Even Jesus, whether or not you believe that, whatever, even Jesus, every story about him was that he came here as a baby. He was even born. He didn't even just show up as a man. Like, he was born. And, he was a human the whole time he was here. So to live on planet Earth, I think you have to be a biological entity, creature. So what if, okay, and the other thing that I said in my last video is that God is a creator. and he's always creating life. God doesn't create bridges. God doesn't create buildings. God doesn't create cell phones. Those are man-made, things. That's how we create things. But God creates through biology, anatomy, physiology. So another one of my theories is angels and demons are biological creatures. Now, I know, before you go crazy on me, just like I said before, we possess an extreme amount of abilities that a spider doesn't. So it would seem, if you were a spider, that a human would be a supernatural creature. That's not true. We're still we're still in the same level of biology, So if you think about angels, and that's what demons are, angels, angelic beings, it would make sense that they are biological creatures of some sort. They just have a spiritual, maybe a higher level spiritual aspect to them to travel interdimensionally through realms. And obviously when you get off this planet, because the only way you get off is 6 feet under, your soul, and of course I can make another video about this, but whatever happens to your soul, either at that time or later on, if there is a judgment or whatever, but your soul departs from your body in some sort of fashion. And so you could say, well, then your soul is not a biological entity anymore. It was wearing a meat suit. Okay. And then your soul has the ability to travel interdimensionally, because if you want to call it heaven, hell, the other side, whatever you want to call it, that's not earth, that you are now a different physiological being. So I'm just wondering if angels are some sort of combo of spirit and biology. So if those entities that fucked with our sweet, adorable Credo Mutwa his whole life, they whoever or whatever fucked with him destroyed his life. Now he was able to overcome it, and he became super famous and a wonderful writer and storyteller, blah blah blah, God bless him, and lived a full life. He died like at 8 or 9, I don't know, you have to look him up. But before his notoriety, those beings, they fucked him up. I mean, really, they tortured him, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally and spiritually. And then the other thing that happened is he became bisexual. I think, I don't know, I think he refers to it as bisexuality, not total homosexuality, but he believes that he would have, and which, who cares? I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. That's why, whatever. But he felt that, it was wrong, and it destroyed him. It really did. It almost makes me want to cry. If you look this guy up and watch his videos, he's freaking adorable. I recommend it. So whoever or whatever, destroyed a man's life. And of course, everybody else from his Zulu tribe that got fucked with for, their whole life. And that's another weird thing, is all these alien abductions, all these people say the same thing. They always say that it goes on your whole life, and it's generational. Like, yeah, they'll be like, oh, I got abducted by the aliens. Oh, that's weird, because so did Aunt Sue. Like, oh, well, Aunt Sue's like, oh, yeah, my granddaddy did too. I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, seriously, it's weird. Okay, so here's what I think about that. I think it has to do with DNA. I think whatever these experiments or torture that they're doing, it has to do with DNA. I mean, I mean, yeah, it's weird. The generational thing struck me weird. Okay. So, oh my gosh, I have so many thoughts about this. So, if people are being abducted by humans, like the government aspect of it, that is a possibility too. That's a huge possibility. Actually, that's probably more uh, easy to do than, whatever. Although it'd be hard to erase people's memories quite so efficiently. Um, whatever. Let's say you have that thing from Men in Black. Pen here, look at my pen. Oh, I can't remember. Oh no, my video is erased now. I'm just kidding. But if it is a human aspect of all of this, then that's also evil, you know? And why? Like, why? Okay, the old theory that we were always taught from movies, when we were little kids, is aliens come here to abduct us and experiment on us because they don't know what we are. There's some other kind of weird alien, that's the perfect word, like some different species, race, whatever, and then they come upon us and like, whoa, what the fuck is that thing? And then they want to cut us open and look at us. Okay, because humans do that shit too. But if if it's not that, if it's not some completely different race of beings coming here, stumbling upon us and being like, whoa, holy fuck, then why would they continue to, like, why would that just, like, I mean, when you get bored with that, right, you'd be like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's Earth, and those are humans, and they do weird shit, they fuck each other over and bleach their hair, whatever, move on, let's go to another planet. But if it's demonic entities and or humans, it has something to do with DNA fucking with us, changing shit. I don't know, it's weird. So anyway, my video is like 8,000 hours long now, so I'm gonna stop here. But look up David Icke if you really want to go balls deep into the the abyss of going down the rabbit hole and really find out about what could possibly be going on with all kinds of crazy shit. He says a royal family are actual aliens. I don't know, whatever. And then Credo Mutua, adorable. Look him up. And yeah, just I guess I was just wanting to make a video because people are constantly asking me, how in the fuck did you did not used to, except for people that I've met recently in the past 6-7 years who just know me as a conspiracy theorist, but like people from my previous life, they're like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, what's up? Like, are you crazy? It's like, no, I'm completely sane. The world has gone crazy. And if you don't think that it is, don't give a fuck, or want to pretend that it's fine, now who's crazy? Okay. So yeah, yeah, I don't know. It's I don't know. It's scary to think that other beings can easily fuck with us. But I just don't. Oh, and one other point I was going to say, I did say that God is a never ending creator. So do I believe that there's life on other planets? Yeah, probably. I mean, there's life everywhere. I mean, I could, the bacteria growing on the camera in my phone. It's a whole other planet going on in there. Life just begets life. Like, I guess every entity loves to fuck because we just spread, and nothing wrong with it. That's great. And so, yeah, of course, I believe that if there are other planets, if there are other realms, whatever. Well, I believe in angels, and they're not humans. So obviously, I believe in a race of beings that are not humanoid. Um, so of course, why wouldn't there be other life on other planets? Because God loves life, and you should too. All right, so that's all I have to say about that. Do your research. And if people make fun of you about being a conspiracy theorist, just tell them this. If you don't have all the answers to my questions, then how dare you try to stop me from trying to find out myself? So unless you have the absolute most, researched 1000% accurate, reasons why shit's going down, then shut the fuck up. I'm just kidding. Okay. Uh, that's all I have to say about that. All right. Thank you so much for listening to me go on my rampages. All right. Bye.